show, The Constitution Today. My name is Deborah Lupaza. Today's topic is the Constitution of South Africa. By the way, I'm not alone, I'm with my colleagues, Daniel.
Hello South Africa and a great world.
Melissa.
Hello South Africa.
Linnell.
Hello South Africa.
And Vianel.
Hi everybody.
Okay guys, how are you today?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, I'm okay. It's just so hot outside, I can't deal. But anyway, let's start with the important things, the more exciting things. Okay, I'll start with you, Melissa. During my research, I came across the statement that states that the preamble or founding statement of an act is an intratextual aid, which can be used to help in the interpretation of an act. Can you explain in brief the preamble founding of the statement of the Constitution?
So I'm Melissa. I'll be explaining in brief the preamble or the founding statement of the Constitution. So in brief, the preamble is a brief introduction of the Constitution that states out the guiding principle and purpose of the Constitution. Yeah, so we all know about the apartheid that happened in our country and all the damages that goes together with it. So the preamble states that we recognize all those injustices of our past, and we honor those who suffered for the justice and the freedom in our land. We also respect those who have worked to build and develop our country, and we believe that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, united in our diversity. We adopted the Constitution as the supreme law of our country to heal the division of the past and to establish a society based on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental human rights, to improve the quality of life of all citizens and free the potential of each person, and also to build a united and democratic South Africa, able to take its rightful place as a sovereign state in the family of nations. Thank you.
Thank you, that was very interesting. Okay, Daniel, can you explain a diagram that reflects the layout of the Constitution in
Of South
brief?
Africa.
Of South Africa,
Yeah, thank you. We all know that the Constitution of South Africa is the supreme law of the Republic of South Africa. So before I proceed to explain the diagram which I have created to explain the whole Constitution in brief, so I would like to explain what is the Constitution, what are the preambles, what are the chapters contained inside the chapter of the Constitution. First, I'll say the Constitution itself, it sets out the rights and duties of our citizens, and the current Constitution was promulgated by Nelson Mandela in 1996, which is my date of birth. Okay, we know that the schedule contains the main information about the Constitution itself. So we got the preamble, the 14 chapters, the 244 sections, and the 8 schedules. So I'll move on to the diagram to explain what's all about. Firstly, we got the Constitution, which is the law of laws. And then secondly, we have the preamble, which is the basic, which explains everything in the Constitution. The rights of human beings, everyone living in South Africa, whether foreigners, national citizens, and the law itself. The first chapter is the founding provisions, which talk about South Africa, the flag, languages, the layout of the nation. The second chapter is the Bill of Rights, which will be explained in the next section. And it's talk about the civil, it's talk about the cultural and human rights, talk about the economic, political rights of people living in South Africa. And then we move on to the third chapter, which is the cooperative government, which is the relationship between the government section, the government's organism itself. And then we move on to the parliament, which is one of the governments set out. It's defined the structure of the parliament, and in brief, the president and the national executive, the group and the people leading the executive part of the nation. The president executive is defined the structure of the national executive team and the powers of the president. The president has to respect the constitution, election, his cabinet, his term, and the removal of presidents, which is also required in that part. We move into the provinces. The provinces, in provinces, we have 9 provinces in South Africa. This section established the relationship of the lead in between the provinces. We have Western Cape, Eastern Cape, and other provinces. So it's defined the powers and structure of provincial government. And we got the local government, which is set out of a framework of the local governments and municipalities. After the local government, we got the courts and administration of justice. What are these? These are the structure of the judicial system. It's defined the hierarchy consisting of magistrate courts, the high courts, the supreme court of appeal, and the constitutional court. And then after that, we have the state institutions supporting constitutional democracy, which talk about the democracy officers to protect and support democracy of human rights. These are the public protectors. And to move on to the public administration. What are the public administration? What is the public administration? This helps us to list values and principles of the administration of the civil services and establishes the public service commission to oversee it. So the public administration speaks about me, you, and any other people, not only South Africa, but in any other country in the world. It must be public administration. It's a relationship which the president also look at this. The security services. Security services establish structure for civilian control of the presidents, the defense force, the police service, and the intelligence services. Move to the traditional leaders. Traditional leaders in the constitution, this part recognizes the status and authority of traditional leaders and customary law. What I'm talking about in our tradition in South Africa, we have some leaders set apart in offices in some sections in the country. So these are subject to the constitution as well. Recognize them. We move into the finance, which is very important. This finance deals with the public finances, national and provincial revenue funds, and the national treasury. And the last chapter, chapter 14, which is the general provisions. So the first chapter was the founding provisions, and the last one is the general provisions. It is the interim constitution and refers to the Schedule 6 to govern the process of transition to the new constitution. So from there, we can govern the process of transition to the new constitution from the election in our parliament. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel, for your explanation. It was very helpful. So, we all hear about the Bill of Rights every week, but most of us never really understand what is it. So, Linel, can you explain to us what is it and what are the rights contained in it?
The Bill of Rights is from the Chapter 2 of the Constitution of South Africa. In general, the Bill of Rights is a cornerstone of democracy in South Africa. It encourages the right of all people living in South Africa and affirms the democracy value of the human dignity, equality, and freedom. So, the Bill of Rights contains a lot of rights. I'm going to state some of them. So I'm going to start with equality. Everybody has the right to equality. Everybody is equal before the law and also have equal protection of the law. We also have education. Everybody must have education. Even if your parents are poor, you have the right to education. We also have access to information. Everybody has the right to access to information. And also the right against slavery, servitude, and forced labor. You cannot force someone to work for you or treat bad someone. We also have freedom and security of the person, and we also have freedom of religion, belief, and opinion. Everybody has the right to choose his religion. It's not because I believe in Allah and then you believe in Christian, and you just came and tell me, no, you have to believe in Christian because Christian is better. No, everybody have the right to choose it. We also have freedom of expression. Everybody has the right to say what he wants. And we also have political rights. So everybody has the right to choose his political party. So it's the political right. And we also have the last one, the language and culture. Everybody has the right to speak any language. If you want to speak Xhosa, it's up to you. Nobody will come and tell you don't speak Xhosa because it's not your right. No, you have, if you want, you feel more comfortable speaking Xhosa, you can speak in Xhosa. So that's are some of the rights in the Bill of Rights. Thank you.
Thank you, Lina. That was very interesting. So I went all the way in my research and I found out a case study. I'm going to read the case study and then I'm gonna explain what say this case study and what right contained in the case study. So this is the case study. Mr. Charming fell in love with Miss Beauty and they decided to live together as man and wife. Miss Beauty fell pregnant and gave birth to a girl and named Mr. Charming as the father of the child. Miss Beauty decided that giving the girl up for adoption would be in the best interest of the child. Mr. Charming challenged Section 18(4)(d) of the Child Care Act 74 of 1983 that states that consent to the adoption has to be given by both parents of the child, or if the parents are not married, by the mother of the child only. He claimed that it violated his right to equality. So, according to our case study, Mr. Charming claimed that Section 18(4)(d) of the Child Care Act 74 of 1983 that states consent to the adoption has to be given by both parents of the child, or if the parents are not married, by the mother of the child only, violated his right to equality. Mr. Charming and Miss Beauty are not married, so all the rights of giving their baby into adoption goes to Miss Beauty, right? However, as Lionel said in the Bill of Rights, there is a right called equality, which states that everyone is equal before the law. However, as Lionel said, the Bill of Rights, there is a right called equality, which states that everybody is equal before the law and has the right to equal protection and benefit of the law. And in this case, Mr. Charming doesn't have a benefit of the law, so he has absolutely a right to challenge that section of the law that is making him unhappy with the situation. But we also debate on that in more detail later on, so I'm not going to say too much. So I'm sure we all know that the rights contained in the Bill of Rights are subjected to limitation, right? So Vianel, can you please explain how the limitation clause contained in Sec 36 of the Bill of Rights deals with the limitation of constitutional rights?
Sure, thank you. I'm going to explain the limitation of the Bill of Rights. Okay, so rights contained in the Bill of Rights are not absolute and may be limited by way of specific limitation clauses, where individual rights are subject to limitation set out in the individual section. Example, the Section 9. On equality, in addition, the Constitution provides a general limitation clause of Section 36, which provides for all rights in the Bill of Rights to be limited in terms of law of general application, and that limitation must be reasonable and justifiable. In an open and democratic society based on human dignity, equality, and freedom, any limitation must therefore be reasonable and may be only made with good cause of limit should also be less restrictive. Section 36 provides certain factors that must be taken into account by the court when determining if the limitation is reasonable and justifiable. I'm gonna just list them. The nature of the right, the importance of the limitation, the nature of extent of the limitation, the relation between limitation and its purpose, and less restrictive means that to achieve a purpose. So these factors are not absolute, and other factors that the code may deem necessary may also be taken in account. When the nature of the right is considered, the court will have to take into account the content of the right, the importance of the right, and the interest which is protect. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gainel. Now we are going to have an open debate. So the case study that we had earlier on, you know, the case study that talked about Mr. Charming and Miss Beauty and the right against equality and everything. So the big question is, was Miss Charming's right to equality violated or not? So each person must give what they think about it. So Melissa, what do you think about it?
Okay, for me, Mr. Charming rights to equality was not violated. Why? Because first of all, they were just living together. They weren't married yet. And if in the case where they are not married, the mother has the total right to give the child for adoption. Yeah, so if maybe she has noticed that the father was not responsible, was not caring of the child, she has that total right to give the child for adoption for the best future of the child. Thank you.
Okay, that makes sense. And Ryanel, what do you think?
I feel that as a father, and in this type of situation, you can't just let your child go away like this. It's not fair. I think for me it's unfair for the woman to take the child and give the child for adoption. Because first the law says that we are all equal before the law. So she cannot do it without the consent of the man. It means that somehow she does not respect the man. Somehow it means that she does not take in consideration that she's living with somebody, you see. And then we can also consider the fact that as a father, sometimes you need motivation, and a child can be a motivation for a father. For example, I don't know if, I'm not saying that the case study stipulated that the father was not working. Let's say that the father was not working. And with the birth of the child, it can be a motivation for the father to go looking for a job and start taking care of the family, taking care of the child, and stuff. So for me, it's really unfair for the mother to just go like this and give up the baby to adoption.
It's getting interesting. So let's hear what Lynette has to say about this.
I'm okay with what my colleague Lisa said. First, we have to respect the law. And in this case, when we're talking about children, when we're talking about baby, we first see the mother. Because the mother made the education of her child. For her child. So, if the mother, after giving birth, she noticed that my man cannot be able to take care of this child. Because don't forget, she lived with the man and she knows the behavior of the man. And after that, she just said, no, this is not gonna be correct for my child to live in maybe the situation wasn't better in this situation. We say that the mother always see always look what is better for his child, for her child. So after giving birth, she thinks that my man cannot do that. He is not even capable to buy something to eat, even for him and I. He is not capable to do that. And with this baby, how are we going to do? So she has the total right to give this baby in adoption. Even if we don't see the law, even if we just put the law away, she has the total right because the mother is the one who gives education to her child or her children. So for me, I'm totally okay with what the mother wants because she's seeing the future, as my colleague said. So
Okay, thank you. And Danielle, what do you think about that? Are you going to challenge it?
Well said, thank you. But going along the cohabitation agreement, so each party has the rights and obligations. So you are going to stay with me, Miss Bio, you are going to stay with me. So you have to accept obligations, some obligations, and you have your rights. I don't refuse that. It don't give you the rights to give a child for adoption, but you know what are the rights of the father? According to the Children's Act of South Africa, 38 of 2005, even if father divorced the biological father, or even the parent divorce, a biological father has full parental rights to his child, unless a court order. So which means if you are married, then you have that right automatically. But if you are not married, you need a court order. I did not reject the child. And you cannot just take away that responsibility without my consent. So my right as a father is caring, contact, guardianship. I have to have access to my child.
Yeah.
So I have to care for my child. I have to contact my child and I have to be his guardian. I am not dead. So maybe you say I'm poor or I don't have funds to support my child education. There are many organizations helping hands for fathers. I can still look for it. You cannot just take my fathership away like this. It is. I did not reject it. Let's say I was the child that was given to adoption. When I grow up, let's say, oh, my father rejected me, that's why I'm adopted. No.
Exactly.
It cannot be like that. I have to find somewhere that even the law says so. We must discuss it in the court. There must be a court order for us to conclude on that. I think it makes sense.
Okay, thank you. That's tough, eh? So, to conclude, I will say that part of it was against, so his right was violated. But if the mother feels like the child can't keep the baby, then she needs to give it away. She has to. And the father has to agree. But if the father wants to keep as well the baby, then they have to discuss about that according to the law. Yes, thank you very much. So, it was all interesting, all your questions interesting. So we took it all, and I hope we all understand that. But what have we all learned about the Constitution, the topic? What have we learned? So anyone can start. We can start with anyone.
I learned a lot about the Constitution of South Africa. It's the things that I never think about, that I will look for it, try to understand. But after this topic, I really understand a lot of things, and as a South African, I know what are my rights, and if it is possible for me to also challenge the law.
Thank you.
Yeah, for me, what did I learn? I learned that I didn't know before that if the parents of the child are not married, the mother can keep the child for adoption. That's what I learned, and I think it will be stuck in my head forever.
Yeah, true. Then yeah.
And according to me, what I've learned as a father, I can still claim for what I think is mine, what I love, especially with children. I can claim for them. It's my right. Even if the law says I don't have sex rights, just when I see that, it affects me. It's affecting my dignity, my equality, I can claim that. That's very interesting for me. And also something that I didn't know before, that a woman has full rights to be a child from adoption. I didn't know that before. But we have to discuss about it.
If you don't want to be in this,
just put the ring on it. You know?
I wasn't know much about the South African law before. That's why I found that topic very interesting, because it's really interesting to know your law, and I just have an advice for you guys. You must know your law. You must know your rights. You see, because it's very important. You can see, for example, this case study, this kind of situation can happen in your life as well. So as a person, you are going to be frustrated if the people goes against you. So you need to know your rights. That's the thing that I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. Actually, what I've learned is how to defend myself as a woman. And I would actually say all the women up there, they must not be scared to challenge the law, because this law is here for them as a woman, obviously. Yes, that's all. Thank you so much. We have reached the end of our show. Thank you, South Africa, for patiently watching us. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, guys.
Good to be here. So, if you want to see more of us, you can subscribe on YouTube, or you can follow us on Twitter and every social media that you are in. Thank you so much. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.